Thank you, Bhavesh. All right, so I'll just continue. So beginning with who is Saraswati Learning Center, and like we all want to know what's, going behind this organization. So it was born in July 2016, focused on solving one of the major issues of our country, and is also one of the Sustainable Development Goals, that is to improve education and solve the problem of illiteracy in our world. Saraswati Learning Center is a special school for children with special needs focused on their emotional, mental, and behavioral disabilities. And at the school, students are seen as equal with no discrimination on any basis. Now, what is EcoYouth doing with this club? So, as you all know, that EcoYouth is initiative is to spread awareness about the world's issue and also generate an action-oriented impact towards them. It was started in January 2019 through our founder Bhavesh, and the club's main objective is to give back to the society through small wins at each stage that lead to a bigger impact at the end, all through focusing on the Sustainable Development Goals. Can anyone tell me which Sustainable Development Goal are we focusing on today? Through this partnership, what's the Sustainable Development Goal that we're focusing on?
The one about making sure everyone has a basic primary education.
What is that called?
Education for all.
No. Quality education. So it's SDG 4, and yeah, that's what our focus is for today. So now we move on to presenting towards our wonderful guest who's present here, who is the founder of the Saraswati Learning Center, Mrs. Reshma. A little introduction and a background story on her is, if you don't mind me sharing about this, I just read about it, so I really wanted to share it with others present here as well. So Mrs. Reshma's initiative for Saraswati Learning Center was born through her personal challenges that she faced. She was struggling to give birth to her daughter Cheryl, who was also born with Down syndrome, and always asked the question of why me, who a lot of disabled children out there also question. But waking up to her daughter's beautiful smile each day gave her the strength to carry on and to break down the struggles, the confusion, the not known solutions to how to deal with such situations. The initiative to work towards not just her daughter's problems but the overall problems faced over the world on how to educate and how to build awareness and treat these children equally is what motivated her to bring in Saraswati Learning Center into action, and work on the initiative of being inclusive towards everyone. Also, while she was developing this initiative, she realized that in Jakarta and Indonesia specifically, there were no such services that catered to the needs of these children. So yeah, she was like the initiator of this action, and hopefully it's bound to grow from there and spread a multiplier effect in Indonesia itself and overall the world in terms of being more inclusive when educating children. And now I'm done with the talking, and now we just want to move to the interesting bit and actually hear from her as to what led to the thought and what more than your personal challenges and all of that motivated you to bring this organization in effect and making a difference by starting out on your own. How was the motivation transformed into a reality?
Hi, Sakshi. Thank you very much for the beautiful introduction. I'm really touched by your kind words, honestly. Actually, you said it all very clearly. The journey was really visualized by you. That basically, reality was very hard initially, because got to do with the paperwork, got to do with the legal framework and things like that. But seeing the children actually around me when they came into school, and seeing the place and parents telling me about their stories, it made my struggle not a struggle at all, because hearing to them, their struggle was much more than mine. That was when I said it was time for Saraswati Learning Center to give birth. Like how my journey started with my daughter, with a lot of uncertainty, fear, and doubt and a lot of different things. But it was because of her holding my hand as she was learning to crawl, starting to stand up, or even taking her few steps. She was the one who was beside me throughout my journey. It was not me who was beside her. It was she who was beside me, reminding me that, yes, you can do it, mom. Don't give up on me. You can do it. You can do it. It was she through her smiles. It was she through her holding my hand in this picture of the logo here. It was she there with me throughout. And it was because of her, all the challenges that I faced throughout the journey in opening Saraswati Learning Center was not a challenge at all. But instead, it was a process to enjoy where I cherish and I can laugh about it today. It was difficult, I won't deny, to find parents who actually wants to put their child in a special needs school because, as how you mentioned, denial, right? Parents are very easy for them to, to just run away from the situation. Or we human beings, we just like to run away when we face a problem. So moreover, when we do have a child who's different from the others, so what do? We just shut down and we run away. But I must say that whenever I see Cheryl accomplishing one step at a time, I value her more, and she values me much more. The value she added into the equation really gives in the best out of the best towards Saraswati Learning Center.
That is so beautiful, especially as you mentioned, she was, holding my hand throughout. There's a common misconception that, we are the ones offering them support, but in reality, they are the ones who are supporting us to grow more. Being inclusive is not just about acceptance, but it's also about growth. And you have proved it through your journey today. My God, honestly, so beautiful. So I think you mentioned about the logo, about how it was she holding you and you holding each other. So can you talk more about it as to what's the representation of the dove symbols out there, and what's the story behind it? We would love to know more.
So, it's really, really interesting because when I made this logo, I just came up with Saraswati Learning Center because Saraswati is a lot of wisdom. And learning center because I didn't really know what I wanted. Did I want a school? Did I want a kindergarten? Did I want a training center? What did I want? But I did want a center that can fulfill to everybody's needs. So that was how I named Saraswati Learning Center. Saraswati again was a true inspiration by my daughter Cheryl because she was the one holding my hand, giving me wisdom. And Lord Saraswati, she sits on this lotus carried by the swan, right? And so here I made two swans, and it's made out of love because she has given me love. I lost love. I lost the meaning of love when I gave birth to her. Actually, I didn't have love. I was full of bitterness when I gave birth to her. But it was she who never gave up on me. It was she who held my hand full of love, gave me wisdom, shined the light on me, gave me my purpose, and walked with me through this journey. So that's why there are two swans, two beautiful swans, and swans are very pure creatures, yeah, they're really pure, just like my daughter and just like the other differently abled individual children as well. They're really, really pure. All you need to do is just follow the lead. So to all parents out there, again, allow your child to hold you because they will guide you into this beautiful journey. That's what the logo is all about.
Wow, yeah, that's so true. Allow your children to let yourself and let them grow. So true. So you mentioned about how she supported you, and during the initial phase where you felt really bitter about love, emotions, and all of that. So could you share small examples of how she supported you out there and helped you transform your bitterness into sweetness?
Yeah. So really small things actually. When I gave birth to her, I didn't know that she was Down syndrome, right? That she had a condition because doctors were not able to identify her. And When I got a confirmed shot that yes, she has Down syndrome, she has an extra chromosome in number 21, I was shattered. I, being educated, became non-educated. I, being able, became disabled. My brain never worked. And my eyes became blind, actually. I never saw my daughter as Cheryl. I saw her as an individual with an extra chromosome, diagnosed Down syndrome. I lost her identity. I was blinded. I never saw her identity at all. When I went to the doctors, and the doctors did tell me that, look, she can be trained. Don't give up on her. These are the activities that you need to do with her, as simple as putting rattlers in front of her, doing left and right, or even hugging her. Simple hug would bring sparks to your life. You will see your child is alive beyond her diagnosis. I never believed any of that. I never did. For me, it was just a diagnosis. I was disabled. It was only then when I said, okay, I'll try. I mean, it's nothing more than just hugging her. It's nothing more than that. And it was when I hugged her one day and I cuddled her and played with her hair softly. And I told her, I love you, Cheryl. And that was when she smiled at me, being just 4 months old. She smiled at me, and her hand was grabbing my hair, pulling my hair, and I loved her reaction. I loved that. It was then when I said, what the hell am I doing? What the hell am I doing? She's human. She's beyond her diagnosis. Do not allow yourself to get blinded just because she has a condition. She's loving. She can smile. She hugs you. She's so cute. When you tickle her, she laughs. And, she's so much more than that. And it was my own stupid disability. It was my own doing that said to myself, she was unable. She is disabled, not even unable. So these were the small things. But as human, you go up and down, because you take your child out to the community and then they start to compare. Oh, your child can do this. My child cannot do that. Oh, my child can do this. Your child cannot do that. As a parent, you, even though you may have already accepted it, but you don't want to hear anything about your child, honestly. May your child have a condition or not. We want the best for our child. We want to protect our child. So I ended up having this in my mind. I don't want to take my child out. I want to protect my child. It's not that I don't want to show the world to my child. But is the world ready to accept my child? Or is the world going to judge my child and going to talk? So there were so many questions. But throughout my journey, it took me 5 years with a lot of tears, a lot of fears, and a lot of screams, and a lot of cries to realize hell with people's comment. Hell, go to hell with people's judgment. You know why? Because at the end of the day, they were doing that because they themselves weren't aware of who my daughter was. So it was not that they were judging my daughter. It was just that I needed to have the guts, the courage actually to tell them, to educate them, because they were lacking awareness. So who am I to blame the society or to blame the other individuals for staring at my daughter's behavior? I should have empathy for them. My daughter taught me that, to have empathy for them, because she was the one who could change my view. When she could change my view, then definitely I can change others' view.
Definitely. I mean, as you said, your daughter first helped, for you itself to like learn how to deal with all of this, and even you weren't aware about it initially, and then like it's like the journey itself, it doesn't end. First it's like fighting yourself, then fighting amongst your own family, and then fighting against the world. But then all you realize is people just need to be educated, and people just need to be aware, and that leads to the simple understanding of empathy with acceptance. So it's as simple as that. Moving forward from this inspiration journey with your daughter, now you've moved on to creating this impact and living this journey with a lot more children in Saraswati Learning Center. So definitely initially the motivation when it turns from a dream into a reality, that itself is like a big dream for the one who has visualized it. But once it had been established, I'm pretty sure every day there must be like some of the few challenges or some of the few problems or something or the other that you must have faced. So during that period, how do you deal with those, like, as an everyday maybe fight, or maybe as an everyday journey? How did you like push yourself to not like give up after you established the organization?
The key is to stay positive and believe in the Lord's work, because God will always give you what you can handle. When I thought that I could not handle Cheryl, and I didn't know why God gave me Cheryl, I had a lot of questions to myself. And it was that time when I surrendered myself to God, and I believe that God giving me Cheryl was because God trusted me. So when God gave me any of my problems during my 5 years at running Saraswati Learning Center, that was because God wanted me to grow more and more. And given the challenge, I never gave up, because at the end of the day, it's all for the children, not for us. When you give up on the children, or when you give up in the situation, then what hope is there for the children? And throughout my journey, I've really learned, if you give love, you get love in return. If you give respect, you'll get respect in return. You give trust, you'll get trust in return. So this answer is very simple. If you're in any journey, you will go through difficulty. But if it's Christ that you want to show, then it's Christ that you will get. But if it's love that you want to show, then it's love that you will get. And that's how it has been with my journey. In my journey with my parents, my teachers, my staff, my children at school, and my family as well.
Beautiful. And that's a very important learning for us to, what you give, you receive back. So yes. In this institute, Saraswati Learning Center, when you're interacting with the different children, I'm sure they might come from different backgrounds and cultures as well. So could you like share some real life instances about interacting with these different backgrounds, and like how was each one's journey different from one another, and how did you as an institute cater to those needs?
Okay. So basically, we have children with different diagnoses like Down syndrome or even ADHD, and as well as autism, and or even cerebral palsy. So all these individuals, they come from different backgrounds. Some of them come from a background where they can afford, and some of them can also come from a background who cannot afford money at all. Yeah. So but doesn't mean even if they cannot afford, even if they're unaffordable, even if they come from underprivileged family, it's still okay, because at the end of the day, our vision is to provide education equally towards all differently abled individuals. The struggle, of course, was there to educate, but it was possible, because at the end of the day, we wanted success for parents, for children, and for their family. Coming from different culture, we had to keep in mind, because in Indonesia, we have the culture of having nannies, having caregivers, taking care of the children, and as well as for the underprivileged family, we have the culture of the parents being hands-on, or the parents taking their child to work. Yeah. So whatever it is, having that in mind, we speak to them and we educate the parents. We ask them, actually, we hear them out first. That's the most important thing. That what are the challenges that they're going through? And what are their hope actually? What are their hopes, with their children or as a family? And then from there we bring forward. We guide them through until we reach to a certain point where we agree to take upon few options where the child can come to our school, or even we can provide online education, or having the different culture between the caregiver, the one taking care of the nanny, taking care of the child the whole time, and then we have parents involving as well there. So we do it all step by step, keeping in mind of the culture background of the individual. So that's very, very, very important.
Right.
We
Okay.
don't want to we don't want to interfere with their daily routine, and even
Mhm.
with their beliefs, and more with their culture background. So it's
Right.
very important.
So you don't just push like a different setting in it's like adapted and customized to each and every child's
Yes,
needs.
yes,
Okay,
yes. It's very
that's
adapted and customized, because we do have parents as well who come in and they're like, you know what, we want to help our child because our child has been, thrown out from school. They've been rejected, this and that many times. So then we ask them, do you know the diagnosis of your child, or do you know why your child has been thrown out? So there are
Mhm.
many parents who say that, no, we don't know, but of course my child needs help. So we as an organization, and me being a mother as well, I understand there's no need to pressure on that point where, you know what, you need a diagnosis, or you need money, or you need to be educated, or you need to have the same point of view as us. No, not at all.
Mhm.
Our vision is not to have the same vision as the parents, not at
Mhm.
all. Saraswati Learning Center is an organization, it's not a human being. It's an
Right.
organization. It's being run by us. So
Mhm.
we are the individuals there who actually communicate. We are just the medium there who have a very strong vision, which is to create successful children and parents. That's all.
Mhm. Okay. Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's actually a very important difference that even a lot of NGOs need to realize in terms of, them not just adapting to whoever needs they cater to, but actually standing out as an organization and making a difference by living on their own beliefs while adapting to the needs that they cater to. So it's really important learning for a lot of institutions out there. Now, along with this, as you mentioned about these challenges that you face in the normal period of times, I'm sure everyone has this question of, how did the pandemic change your way of working or operations and all of that? So what was the impact on your institute and the operation flow and processes, and children, like, did they come to the institute or were they taught online, or how did it proceed?
So you know what? It was very interesting. COVID entered our lives in December, right? December to January. So I was studying the market, yeah, the global change, and it took 3 weeks more or less to enter each and every country. So in no time, so I already I was prepared actually, and I was discussing with my team, and we said that, you know what, maybe in March or April it'll hit Jakarta, it'll hit Indonesia. So from January itself, I already modified my curriculum as a backup plan. Yeah, so we already modified the curriculum, and we made it into online learning. So it was already backed up. Everything was still going on face to face, but I shifted the curriculum a little bit to online learning. And we started training the teachers as well. And yeah, so we started training the teachers, and also had and directly developed a program called Parents Empowerment Program, whereby we would be giving these educative sessions towards the parents on how to actually assist the child in the home environment. And we made the curriculum very accommodative to the home environment and very easy, to apply in the home environment by the caregiver or by the assistants, whoever it may be.
Mhm.
So it was directly applicable.
Nice. So the pandemic helped you expand your education not just to the children but the parents as well.
Yes. So actually, parents now really understand how we work,
Right.
and they
Yeah.
know the difficulty we go through,
Mhm.
and they also understand the value, and they appreciate their children even more. because they're actually seeing and witnessing that how the children react, respond, and grow with SLC's curriculum.
Right. Right. Okay. So now, along with like how you've moved forward since the 5 years journey, dealt with the pandemic, and all of this, does Saraswati Learning Center currently have like future goals and visions in mind that they wish to, or like they aspire to achieve in the near future? And what are they?
So actually, the vision is very clear. It's to create is to have awareness, acceptance, and inclusion in the community for all differently abled individuals.
And like,
Strongest vision.
do you plan to expand like internationally as well?
Expand internationally, I don't have it in mind as yet because
Okay.
I really want to make it happen in Indonesia first.
Indonesia first, right. And how do you like see the growth of this impact that started 5 years ago? And like, do you see possible measures where you actually see the difference coming out there through Saraswati Learning Center, where Indonesia is being more inclusive of these children needs and being able to understand these children's better? Do you see that impact in front of you?
Yes, I do see actually because we've worked with a lot of organizations, individuals, and community. A lot of them. So where I know when we work with schools, at least the bullying is less in inclusive schools.
Okay.
Also, in mainstream schools, the individuals are more open to interact and they're more aware of who they are. So my first step of them being aware of who the differently abled individuals are, or even what they can do, is actually already achieved. The awareness part, them being aware, is achieved. Of course, 60-70%, I still have, it's all a progress.
Right.
But the first part is achieved. And then the second part, which is accepting them, we do have a lot of international schools, companies, and other organizations who have accepted them by interacting with them first.
Okay.
But the second step moving forward will be for them to actually accept them in their workplace, by training them first and things like that. And then at the end is, of course, including them.
Right. But
in
at
our
least
community.
at least the
Yeah.
steps in those pipelines are being achieved one by one. So that itself is an amazing measure. And you mentioned about gaining partnerships from other institutes. So have you gotten any support from the local government as well in terms of any special initiatives that were brought into action in collaboration with SLC?
So the government is on board. They're very aware of what we do.
Okay.
They support. They have it's called Dana Hiba, Dana Boss, and all. So they support us financially through there as well. But in terms of networking or in terms of CSR companies or volunteers, no. So that we have actually approached and network and generated a lot of collaborations with organizations and community.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So
I
yeah,
think these small wins are counting towards the big impact that we all want to see. So
yes.
honestly, wonderful. Okay, so now before like learning so much about you and your journey, definitely our students also want to get on board with SLC and see how we can contribute. So before we get on to that part as to how we both can work together and how our students can volunteer for your organization, I just want to open the platform to the others present here. If you have any questions to address to Mrs. Reshma, she would love to. Yeah, Parinaz is here. Parinaz, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'd like to start by saying thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I have family members as well who are special needs, so lots of what you said resonated with me. I understood it. And even their parents would ask this question of, why am I in this situation? And I just want to first share something that I have an uncle. He used to always say that God blesses the strongest people with special need children. And hearing you speak, I definitely agree with that statement even more. I've seen it in my family also. I just think it's a wonderful thing. They're such wonderful children. And I also have at an organization in India called Own Creations, where they have all these children come, they take part in different activities, they make things, they bake, they learn so many things, and it's so wonderful. I go and do as much as I can to help. Just spending time with them is always so wonderful. But unfortunately, what I have noticed, you were talking about educating society, but at the same time, I feel that the parents themselves, obviously, all parents want to protect their children, but it's no doubt that especially children's parents feel that extra burden to keep their children safe. So when you say educate society, educate other people, I feel also the parents to a certain extent sometimes they need to be educated and they need to understand better of what their child's situation is. So how do you think you can address that? You managed to overcome it. But I feel that sometimes parents take a little too long. And unfortunately, when they start getting much older and they realize they can't handle it anymore, that's when they become more open to outside help, sending their children to these places where they can do so many things and they can learn. So how do you think it's possible to explain to these parents, because it's never easy to convince a parent to send their child somewhere. So how do you deal with convincing parents to let these children come to you, let them come and learn with you? How do you ease their tension?
Just by listening to them. All they want is for you to listen to them because they are going through the struggle. And as an organization, yeah, okay, we have the skill. But today, when they come, that's because they're in despair. Sometimes they're already in despair. But sometimes they come also, they don't know what they want, but they need help. Sometimes you also want to help the parent, but the parent refuses to receive the help. But at the end of the day, all these three parents, all they want is for you to listen first to them because they are the one who's tired, who's confused, who don't know what to do. But yes, they want to help their child. They know that, you know, um, the child needs help, but how? That's the big question mark for them. And if the main focus is first to educate the parent and then only the parent can do it to the child, the parent already feels like a failure here because the parent is in a denial stage. So can you really push through information when the parent is feeling like a failure? No. So just hear them out first. Listen to them. Listen to them, what they have to say. Listen to their feelings. Listen to what they want. Understand them. Show them love, as how I mentioned to you. You show them love, you show them you understand. They will understand you.
So do you think it's important for y'all to be the ones to approach the parent to show them that there are more people in your situation? We understand, we want to help. Or is it better to wait and hold back and let them come forward? Because I think sometimes because they're in denial, because they're confused, of course the child suffers with having to wait for the parent to understand and accept the situation. So do you think in certain situations it's important to be proactive and reach out to the parents? I understand that you wouldn't want to push a parent, like you said, that if they're in denial, they won't understand, they won't listen to what you say. But at the same time, would it also be important to be proactive in your steps of approaching people, just to them to at least start looking and seeing that there are other people in this situation, we want to help, we want to listen?
So it depends. If the parent comes to you in to your organization, then it means they're ready for help. Yeah. So then you can tell them. But the way you tell them is in a level where you have to hear them out first, what their struggles are, right? But if you meet them outside in the park, in the mall, and you see they're struggling with the child, I don't think they will listen to you because currently they're at a scenario where they're very stressed already and all they need is a solution. So if you want to help out in that scenario, then you help the child directly without asking the parent for help. But you have to be very sure then that you can help the child.
Thank you.
Thank you, Parinas. So if any other questions, I would suggest directly get in touch with Mrs. Reshma. We will share her contact details. But before we conclude this wonderful session, Mrs. Reshma, can you share some details on how our students can, volunteer and interact with the students at SLC, and what are the requirements, what are the expectations, what all can we bring in as a student community that's willing to help support and interact with your students?
So what I really need is if I need individuals to volunteer in teaching a skill. So the skill can be cooking, can be art and craft, can be painting, can even be making merchandise products. Merchandise products can range from like making soap, making shampoo, making artifacts, making sellable items, anything, whatever it is. So I need it to be simple. Yeah, like very, very, very simple, low cost, and at the same time can be sold. People will buy. So it's a basic necessity. And another thing also that I need your help is in creating awareness. So we can hold like interactive sessions where you can work with my children and have like they can be advocating regarding autism, regarding Down syndrome, regarding cerebral palsy, and then from there you all can make like a poster. You all can make a poster or pamphlet or booklet or a video that can or even without interaction, it's fine. Yeah, but make like awareness, information, educative information that's clear, that's fun, that's friendly for children, for parents, that can make an impact, that can change the community's view regarding differently abled individuals. That's all. These two things. Actually, this is what I need.
Yes. And I think for the second part, you mentioned about creation of awareness. Social media is playing a really important role for that. And our marketing team here can definitely come up with a number of social media challenges that, our batches and our staff, faculty, everyone can engage in. So definitely we would work on those creative inputs out there. For the sessions where we as volunteers maybe teach a cooking skill or maybe some other activity, do we first need to train ourselves in terms of how to communicate with them and how to like make it simple? Would we also need training sessions as volunteers?
We can give one session to train you guys on how to do it.
Okay.
Then the rest is simple, or we can even send a pre-recorded video and you guys can watch it.
Perfect.
So
Yes.
that's also simple.
Perfect. That will work great. So, okay, I think everyone here is like pretty well informed, and I'm pretty sure everyone loved joining this session in terms of how much education we were able to get from you in terms of how to work towards a passion. So I've just shared a link for all those out here interested to sign up as a volunteer. So you can like add in your skill that you would want to teach, and then we can like align it with the needs of the students at SLC, and then we can see how it works out. So we would be sending another emailer for this. And Ms. Reshma, do you have a LinkedIn profile to share that the students out here can reach out to, or any mail that you have?
I have a mail.
Yeah.
I have a mail.
Yeah. So if you could just share that, and then everyone out here can directly be in touch with you. All right. So I would just like to thank you once again for coming out here, for supporting our initiative, and for being such an amazing individual out there to create an impact. And thank you. Thank you so much for coming here.
Actually, thank you to you, Sakshi. Thank you to Bhavesh. Thank you to Aishwarya. Thank you to the team, actually. Yeah. Thank you to EcoYouth team for actually inviting me and giving me this platform. This itself is a really step towards awareness, acceptance, and inclusion for the disabled individuals. So everyone present here are actually the agents of change of tomorrow.
True. So true.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.